I'm not saying that Barack Obama is Chavez, but gosh, when does the road split? And as things get worse, any president, even Abraham Lincoln, has to get more iron-fisted. Because as things get worse, people start to rebel. And even Abraham Lincoln had to suspend habeas corpus. Even Abraham Lincoln. See, it's just depending on whose side you're on. Are you on the right side? Politically correct. Do you know how that started? Politically correct. The name says it all. Politically correct. In communist countries, if you speak out against someone like Hugo Chavez, you would be politically incorrect. And so they retrain you. First, they tell you not to say those things. Then they accuse you of hate speech, or being anti-Venezuelan, or whatever it is, anti-Soviet, anti-Chinese. And then when that doesn't work, when people still refuse to bow down, then they're either put out of business, they're put on trial, they're taken for a summer camp experience where they can be made politically correct. Those who decide to play ball come back, and now their thinking is in line with the state, and so they are politically correct, and they will say the things that are the right things to say. Those who won't bend never come back. That is the origin of politically correct thinking. It is from fascism and communism. What is our Treasury under George W. Bush? What did our Treasury and Fed do? They went to the banks and said, you are going to do these things. No, we're not. Yes, you are. No, we're not. Then if you don't, we'll put you out of business. They all caved and became politically correct. Yesterday in the Sunday New York Times, there were two of these stories. Immigration hardliners have wasted no time in harassing their dreams of mass expulsion into recession. Avalanche of lost jobs and grim national mood are now laying the blame onto illegal immigrants. And it talks about how these illegal immigrants, everybody's blaming them now for the... I'm not blaming them. Who's blaming illegal immigrants? I don't know anybody that's blaming illegal immigrants. I will tell you this, that when unemployment is up to 12%, 14%, there are going to be problems with illegal immigrants because people will be hungry. And they will say, wait a minute, he's doing a job I will do. I need to feed my family. Why does he get the job? He doesn't even belong here. That's when you have real problems. And that's not going to come from talk radio or hate speech in the media or these, hateful groups. That's going to come from individuals that are hungry and are willing to do the jobs. And what happens? Well, as the New York Times says, American union members understand. The Laborers International Union of North America, which represents the hard hats who build condos and shopping malls and bridges, is about to organize immigrant workers in the Sun Belt who built homes during the boom. Exploited then and jobless now, they need help. The unions are there to help the illegal immigrant. There were two of these stories. There was another story about how things are horrible, but the state is there with even more money than they expected. That now in the stimulus bill, if those states just take any money from the federal government, well, then everything's going to be solved. That people who worked part-time jobs and now can no longer find a job can get unemployment. If you worked a part-time job, you can get unemployment. If you now get you can get unemployment. You got to be kidding me. the state is coming with lollipops for everyone. Everything that Hugo Chavez did, we are following down the same path. And all the people that are in love with socialism are the same people jamming this down our throat. All the people that will stand by Hugo Chavez, the Kennedys, Hollywood. They'll all say, Hugo Chavez, he cares about the poor. Are all the same ones trying to shovel it our way. Remember, nationalize the banks, silence dissent, feed the poor, universal health care, massive government projects, take over industry. We're seeing it happen again, south of our border in Venezuela. We have seen it happen in Italy. We saw it happen in Germany. But for some reason or another, we don't recognize it in our own country. You need to wake your friends up that are wakeable. You need to say, listen. You need to start balancing your life and making the decisions based on principles. Have you noticed that no one is talking about the principles of anything? They're just talking about what will happen if we don't do these things. We're not making a single principled decision. The only principle we seem to be going on is we can't lose these things, they're too big to fail, or it will hurt the poor. Well, gang, if you save the poor by trashing everything else, we're all going to be poor, and that will hurt the poor as well. We've got to align ourselves with principles and make decisions, good or bad. They may end up being the decisions we don't want to make. Just like I tell you these things, even though I don't want to tell you these things. I tell you these things, even though there is no upside for me telling you these things. I tell you because I try to base my life on principles. And once we as a country do that, we'll start making the right decisions. And usually the hard ones. Gold line.